Hello my friends and welcome to today's video. We are talking all about fibromyalgia. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. If you have fibromyalgia or you know someone who has fibromyalgia, then you are going to want to subscribe to my channel. I have fibromyalgia, as well as a few other chronic illnesses, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome or POTS. I have endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. I have Hashimoto's disease, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, a few other things going on. And I make videos a couple times a week here on this channel about how to do life with chronic illness. And I'm actually currently pregnant as well, and I'm a mother and a wife. And I still like to do all these things while living with chronic illness. So if you're interested in those types of videos and just to give yourself a little motivation and maybe some tips and tricks to get yourself to do a little bit more with your day while living with chronic illness, then you are going to want to subscribe. And don't forget to turn that bell notification on, because that is how you get notifications that my new videos are up and ready to watch. So make sure you're subscribed and all of that. And today I just wanted to share with you about fibromyalgia. I feel like it's kind of misunderstood. I misunderstood it for a long time, in fact, and I was not very happy when I was diagnosed with it. So let me quickly tell you that story, and we are going to talk about symptoms, diagnosis, treatment, all of that in just a minute. But just let me tell you kind of my story quickly. So you can go to my channel and I have a video called my chronic illness story, or my 10 chronic illnesses. I'll link it below, and that's where I go through everything from the beginning, like how it all happened, how I got diagnosed with all the different things I ended up getting diagnosed with and all of that. So you can hear that whole story. But basically I was having a lot of pain, fatigue, a lot of weird symptoms all over my body. And I went to several doctors, like every doctor you can think of. I went to them, tried to figure out what's wrong with me, and no one could figure it out. All my blood work came back normal and I looked normal on all the scans. CT scans, MRIs, everything was coming back normal, and I was so frustrated because I couldn't get out of bed. I was just so sick. So I got to the point in my illness where I was so sick I had to quit my job. I was a high school teacher. That is a story for another time, but I was a high school teacher and I was forced to quit my job. So at that time, I had been going to so many doctors, and finally, my doctors just gave up on me, and they said, well, you have a lot of pain and fatigue. You meet the criteria for fibromyalgia, so we're going to diagnose you with fibromyalgia. And I really felt like it was kind of like a cop-out, like, we don't know what's wrong, so we're just going to call it fibromyalgia. And this was the same time that I quit my job, so I was just feeling really confused, and I tried treating my fibromyalgia, and it was kind of working, kind of not working. And anyways, I just felt like there was something else going on, and that wasn't the full story. So I really felt like I didn't know fibromyalgia was a real thing. I didn't think that that was my whole story, basically. So I kind of gave up on doctors at that point. I treated things myself. Long story short, I ended up finding out about a year later, when I was pregnant with my daughter, that I had POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which means basically that my blood doesn't circulate well. If you want to learn more about POTS, I will leave that linked in the description below. So this whole year I thought I had fibromyalgia, just fibromyalgia I should say, and nothing else going on. Found out later I had POTS, and then also found out actually just a few months ago that I also have Hashimoto's disease, which can cause a lot of the symptoms I have been having. And so at that time of getting diagnosed with POTS, I kind of didn't know, okay, do I have fibromyalgia? Do I not? I was diagnosed with it, but I couldn't tell whether my symptoms were from POTS or Hashimoto's or fibromyalgia, because they just kind of all blend together. And if you have other chronic illnesses, you know how that is. And I know, we're going to talk about this more, but I know that if you have fibromyalgia, you are more likely to have maybe an autoimmune disease or some other chronic illness. Sorry, I have an airplane flying over my head, so it's a little bit loud for a second. So at the point of being diagnosed with POTS and then later Hashimoto's disease, I just wasn't really sure whether I still had fibromyalgia. I still kind of considered myself to, because I was technically diagnosed with it, but I didn't totally understand it. And over the last little bit, I have been able to understand it so much more, and definitely think that fibromyalgia is part of my chronic illness story. So let's talk about exactly what fibromyalgia is. So fibromyalgia is basically widespread pain and aches over your body. And according to my doctor, in order to be diagnosed with it, you need to have pain on both the left and right side of your body, as well as both the top half and the bottom half of your body. And for me, my pain, I get pain in my muscles, which is partly contributing to my Hashimoto's disease, partly for my POTS, because my blood is not circulating, it's not getting to my muscles. So I get a lot of pain in my muscles. I also get a lot of pain in my neck, which is a big symptom of fibromyalgia. So I get a lot of pain in my neck. I actually have a knot all the time in my neck that gives me really severe migraines. So I get really bad migraines multiple times a week. I've got them for a long time. I even got the doth piercing. I have a video on that. I need to do an updated video because I need to share with you if that's been working or not. But I have the doth piercing that's been trying to help my migraines. I really can't take a lot of medications because I'm very sensitive to those. Pretty much any medication I take, I get all the side effects. So I don't like taking medication, but I get a lot of pain there. I have a ton of digestion pain all the time. Every time I eat, my stomach hurts, as well as pain before I go to the bathroom, all of that. There's always pain there. My periods are extremely, extremely painful as well. So I definitely have pain on the top and lower half of my body and the left and right side. Another thing that my doctor said is very good sign that you have fibromyalgia is widespread fatigue as well. So you have a lot of fatigue, and that is definitely something that I deal with. And again, I'm currently pregnant, so I'm super fatigued, even more than normal, but no matter what, I'm always very fatigued. That is something I've dealt with for the past few years. So that's kind of the big thing with fibromyalgia. I know there used to be a pressure points test, but according to the research that I've done, they don't really use that anymore because it's kind of hard to really, it's not like a blood test where it's just like yes or no, it tells you the number of levels or anything. Your doctor could push harder or softer and it could do different things. So they don't actually use that, but it's more going off of symptoms, and we're going to talk about all the symptoms in just a second. But symptoms, ruling out some other illnesses. So that's really how you get a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, is mainly off of symptoms, which is another reason why I just didn't like that at the beginning, because I just felt like there needs to be a test to tell me like this is exactly what you have. And so it kind of was frustrating to me as a patient to not be able to get a blood test that says exactly what is going on. You guys, there's another airplane above my house. There's always airplanes in my videos, and I'm so sorry it's loud, but we're just gonna keep going because I only get so much nap time when my daughter's asleep to do these videos. So I'm gonna just go to Google for all of their symptoms because they have the whole list, and there is a lot of them. So we have pain in the muscles, abdomen, back, or neck. Really pain everywhere is what you should probably say. Pain everywhere. Pain can be chronic, diffuse, sharp, or severe. Pain can occur at night. Whole body fatigue, whole body feeling tired and malaise. Muscle tenderness, delayed onset muscle soreness and muscle spasms. Lots of gastrointestinal symptoms like constipation, nausea, passing excessive amounts of gas. Your mood can have a lot of mood swings, anxiety and nervousness, depression, forgetfulness and lack of concentration, sensation of coldness or tingling in your hands and feet, the feeling of pins and needles or sensitivity to pain, difficulty falling asleep or sleep disturbances. Also common, headaches, irritability, joint stiffness, painful menstruation, sensitivity to cold, and tingling feet. There's so many symptoms associated with fibromyalgia. So I think one of the reasons a lot goes on with fibromyalgia is because fibromyalgia is often associated with other chronic illnesses. So like for example, for me, like I said, I was really confused, like, do I have fibromyalgia or is it just my other chronic illnesses that are causing these symptoms and pain and stuff? But as I've talked to other people with the other chronic illnesses I have, what I've noticed is they don't experience as much pain as I do. So for example, with POTS, I always talk about my severe muscle pain that I have, and my other POTS friends don't have that as severe. They don't talk about it as if it's a pain like I do. They just say, oh, I feel a little achy, oh, I am dizzy and fatigued, but they don't talk about the pain that I experience. So that is something I've learned about patients with fibromyalgia, is they usually have another chronic illness. And if they do, those pain symptoms, the symptoms that cause pain from those other chronic illnesses, or even just normal human pain, like the pain you get when you wake up in the morning or you've had a bad night, things like that, are much worse than if you don't have fibromyalgia. So if you have fibromyalgia, your pain is just excessive. It's just so much more than if you don't. So for example, my periods are extremely painful. Like I am curled up in a ball, bawling my eyes out, having the hottest heating pad in the world because I'm in so much pain. I've had some miscarriages. They are so painful, so much more painful than anyone I've ever talked to. And I just feel like people don't totally understand, even people who have the same conditions that I do, because my pain is it just seems like so much more intense than what they experience. So that is something I've learned about fibromyalgia, is really the criteria is that you have so much more pain than is normal. And it's not necessarily that it's like a neurological thing where your brain is just thinking you're in more pain than you are. You are in that much pain, but it is your brain sending these signals that there is more pain than in the normal person. And that is really what fibromyalgia is. It's just an excess of pain, and typically it also deals with a lot of fatigue. So I watched a really good video here on YouTube. I will link it down below. It's from the Mayo Clinic, and he talks about how chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia usually go hand in hand. Like 70% of people with fibromyalgia also have chronic fatigue syndrome, even though they're technically two different things. So we'll do a whole video about chronic fatigue syndrome as well, because I definitely have that as part of my chronic illness package that we deal with over here. But if you have fibromyalgia and you're having a lot of fatigue, you most likely have a chronic fatigue syndrome as well. So you'll need to work on that while you work on your fibromyalgia and whatever else is going on in your body, because there's probably other things that are happening if you have fibromyalgia. So let's talk about the treatment for fibromyalgia. So there are lots of things that you can do to help your fibromyalgia symptoms. So there are medications that you can take. I think it was Lyrica I took, if I believe right. It's been a while. I took it a few years ago, and I do think it helped with my pain. However, it caused like so many other symptoms. Again, there's a stupid plane above my head, and I'm so sick of this. Anyway, I got so many bad side effects. I was so tired, and my fatigue got worse, and it was just not worth it because of the side effects of the medications. But there are medications you can take, and that's something to talk to your doctor about. I'm not a doctor. If you didn't know this, I'm just a fibromyalgia patient who is sharing her story. So I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what you can or can't take medication-wise, but there are some medications that you're welcome to try. I would suggest going to maybe a fibromyalgia support group on Facebook, asking people what they've tried, what works for them. It's probably the best thing. I personally try to treat my chronic illnesses naturally. I just, again, don't do good with medication. So some other things, let's see what I have on my list. Therapy. So there is physical and mental therapy that I think both are very beneficial. I personally have a life coach that is so helpful for me. Some people do better with like a counselor. So whatever is best for you in that sense of mental health, you gotta fix your mental health. Get yourself some mental health help, because that has changed my life. Like, I feel so much less pain, or at least I can deal with the pain so much better when my mental health is in such a better place. So some kind of mental therapy is so important, as well as physical therapy. So you can go to a physical therapist, you can do stretches, massages seem to help me a lot. However, just tell the massage therapist that you have fibromyalgia and that you're a little more sensitive, just in case. You don't want them to push too hard and cause you more pain. But I do find that light massages help me a lot. You can go to a chiropractor, get chiropractic adjustments. Those have been known to help people as well. So some type of physical therapy in that way, as well as exercise, has been proven to help people with fibromyalgia. Exercise releases endorphins, and even just that can make you feel less pain. And for me, you have to take it lightly. You can't go too hard, do too much, because I am so bad at this where I will just overdo it one day because I'm having a good day, and then the next day I totally crash. So don't overdo it with exercise, but just mild, moderate exercise and make it consistent. That's the biggest thing with exercise. If you're consistent, you don't have to do crazy extreme exercise. Just do some light, even go for a walk, lift some light weights, go to a fun class, but don't overdo it. That's something that definitely helps me, but again, if I overdo it, it makes me so much worse. So you want to just have a good balance there. So a few other things you can do are some stress management techniques, which again, some kind of mental health professional can help you in that way. But helping with your stress, because stress definitely flares fibromyalgia. You can also just do some relaxation techniques, maybe meditation, mindfulness, those kind of things definitely help me. I struggle with mindfulness because my brain is always moving and going crazy with my anxiety and stuff, but it really does help. I took a mindfulness class last year and it totally changed my life, made me feel so much better. When I do it consistently, it helps so much. And the last thing is you want to get good sleep, because a lack of sleep can flare your symptoms so much. In fact, I read a study that normal people who didn't have fibromyalgia had a lack of sleep. They did like a test with them, and they cut their sleep. I don't know how they did it. They just like made them get less good quality sleep for a few weeks, and they started to present fibromyalgia type symptoms. So if you already have fibromyalgia and you're not getting good sleep, it's just gonna make those worse. So definitely work on your sleep. I would suggest going to bed early. I have a video about how I become a morning person. You can go watch that because I talk about some techniques to get to sleep better and to turn your mind off, get off your phone, turn off the TV early. There are so many videos out there that you can find about sleep techniques, but you really need to work on your sleep. So anyways, that is all the symptoms of fibromyalgia, the treatment, how you get diagnosed, and a little bit about my fibromyalgia. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, give it a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment below and tell me your fibromyalgia story. If you have anything that works for you, any good techniques that I can use to treat my fibromyalgia, I would love to know, and I would just love to get to know you. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Thank you.